Hello and welcome to Trekkie and Beyond, a Star Trek podcast. I'm Anika.
And I'm Andrea, and welcome to the Season 2 recap of Star Trek Discovery, a Trekkie and Beyond a Star Trek podcast. And today we have a very special guest with us, someone who really enjoys all of Star Trek in general, and but also Discovery. So let's welcome to the podcast, Carmen.
Hi. Thank you so much for the introduction. I'm really appreciative of being here today. Like Andrea said, I love Trek. I have since about 1990 when I was about 8 years old. So I think I started just getting into it about its third season. And it was that one thing that really kind of like connected my mom and I, where we live. It came on Saturdays at 6 p.m. So it was like that thing that we had to look forward to together every week. So, and then it just evolved after that. So love the franchise as a whole. I hate hearing anything negative about it. I love new Trek. So yeah, I just appreciate you all having me on today.
No problem. I can also say I got into Star Trek because I used to watch it with my dad all the time. I would just be in his office while he's working, and my dad was famous for having the TV on in the background. And for like a very good chunk of my childhood, it was all the different Star Trek shows. And I didn't even know there were multiple Star Trek shows. I just thought, oh, it's a new cast, it's a different cast this episode. So until I got older. So I definitely connect with you on that. How was something, you did with your parents. So guys, if you were here for the season 1 review, this episode is all about one of our top 3 moments from this season. So whether they're good or bad, things we like, things we didn't like, or things we just want to go back and talk about that we didn't get a chance to in this season, we're all going to discuss it here. But first, we have to do what our reactions of what season 2 meant to us. So Monica, start us off. What did you think about season 2? What is your overall reaction?
Overall, I love Discovery. It's very close to my heart. I feel like I can geek and nerd out in the series. And I, at first, was a little concerned about the saga part, about the fact that this is a long journey. But with that, you also get the chance to learn a lot about lots of different characters, and there's lots of character arcs. And so I felt like this was like a 14-hour movie, and I really loved it. I got completely engulfed in it, excited about the next episode to come. I love the love, redemption, conflict. It's like an epic space battle drama. Loved it. What did you two think about it?
Carmen, go ahead.
Season 2 was really fun for me. Time travel in Star Trek is always really interesting. I feel like a lot of shows and franchises don't do time travels especially well. I'm a very person, there's so many franchises that just don't get it right. There are rules in time travel. And I think that Star Trek employs writers who are just such nerds that they do try to take into account that there are rules that you still have to follow when you're talking about time travel. So I thought the sort of revelation, I think it was maybe towards the middle of the season, that, the Red Angel is, a time traveler, was really interesting. And then going forward, it just got really interesting. The first half of the season I loved, but yeah, once that revelation kind of came out, it was just kind of oh, we're doing something really cool. So yeah, it was a fun season. It was a really fun season. And, to see Kima from The Wire, you know what I mean? So yeah, that was fun. It was just a really and I love how the season just moved. It just kept moving forward and moving forward. Just oh my God, what is this building up to? So yeah, it was just very exciting.
Okay, well, I'm glad. So for me, I always say I'm dead inside because I liked this season. I felt like there were some things that were really lacking in the season. Some of the storylines and some of the episodes just didn't overall make sense. But overall, I did like season 2. I am still on the fence about the ending because I'm just not sure exactly. We talked about this in the last episode of what did you solve? How did you solve it? And is it really solved? Is the issue really put to rest? So the ending was a little ambiguous for me, but overall, I did enjoy the season. I have to disagree, Carmen. I don't like rules in time travel. But I will say they did respect the rules in this one. I like free for alls because like it's fantasy. I feel like or sci-fi fiction, you can sort of do with that whatever. But I will say the rules that they made did make sense. I have seen things where time travel rules, it just doesn't make sense. Why did you do that? This wouldn't happen. But this, and Monica, I agree with you. It was a 14-hour movie because you could not really miss one episode. In season 1, I feel like there was maybe 1 or 2 episodes where you could have missed and like it wouldn't have affected the season at all. But this one, I feel like you really did have to watch every single episode to understand everything that happened at the end. So I did like that portion. It made every episode relevant, and I don't like filler episodes, and so I really like the fact that we didn't really get a filler episode this season. So that's my initial reaction. So hopefully I'm not too dead inside, guys. So let's go on to our favorite moments and memories or favorite anything from this season. Monica, start us off with what was your first moment or memory?
So one particular episode I'm completely fascinated about and intrigued by, and it's technically episode 8, if memory serves. And that's the one that actually reflects back to Michael's memories of the past, Spock's memories of the past, also Pike. Like there's a lot of reflection there. And so I really like the connection to the original series because they did a flashback and it showed Spock #1 and Pike on Talos and interacting. I thought that was really cool, playing homage to that. And I think also helping with fan support for the original series that I'm not as connected to, but for those that love the original series, here's a way of showcasing the connection between these characters. I also like the fact that I was able to see firsthand this conflict between Michael and Spock that they've been talking about for like 7 episodes. And I was like, well, please, what in the world happened? What just... Just say it.
Spill the tea. What's the tea?
It took us 8 episodes to get there, and then I was underwhelmed by it. But it was interesting to see that Michael also had a hard time believing Spock's own memories of that, and shows how like sometimes centered she can be about herself. And I don't know, I just felt like that episode was just full of things. That was also the episode where Hugh had memories of when he was murdered by Ash, and they duked it out in the cafeteria. and Saru stepped back and said, well, let's
let him fight.
Let him fight.
Let him fight.
So here's Saru also now being fearless and like, okay, he'll step back and so I really like that episode, and I've circled back to that one a few times because there's kick butt action, there's redemption, there's brother and sisterly love, and so I found that one intriguing.
Okay.
2 of you.
I must say, when you talked about Hugh, that whole fight, that just made my heart swoon again because I just love that man. And I was like, yes, stand up for yourself. Carmen, what is your first moment or memory or moment from this season?
I have a few, but one of my favorite moments was meeting Commander Jet Reno. Like,
yes.
And I don't really think I need to say any more. And that actually, introducing me to this character also sent me down a Tig Notaro rabbit hole where I just wanted to find all of her stand-up. And because her sense of humor is so dry, and like her punchlines and her one-liners, when we first meet her in the show, are so deadpan. And I'm just like, who is this? Like her delivery on them is just perfect. So meeting Commander Reno, I think, was one of my highlights of this season. She's just such a huge departure from characters in so many of the other series of Trek. I think she's just, as much as people want to talk about, you know, what they do and don't like about Burnham and how unrealistic or realistic Burnham is, or she's a Mary Sue, how she's so good at everything. That's actually pretty common trope among, like, you know, Captain Picard could be a Mary Sue. He's good at everything almost. You know what I mean? Captain Janeway is a brilliant engineer somehow and is also just like this really great diplomatic captain. So it's not really like, you know, there's people in Discovery exist in so many of the other, you know, shows. And I feel like Commander Reno was really just such a departure, and she was so different to me. That could be an incorrect observation. Maybe there are other characters who were like her, but I thought she was just really refreshing. And the humor she brought into the show, into the franchise as a whole, I thought was really great. So I really liked her.
Yeah, she had a lot of really cool lines, from just wanting to use duct tape to solve problems. She's just so practical and just so, I don't know, straightforward. I like also her, she's just relaxed in her own sense of self. She doesn't have anything to prove to anyone, to the point where she wears the uniform, but she keeps it partially unzipped. Like, I'm in protocol, but I still am doing this my way.
Right. I just, what I liked is, I love the character development. Oh, we're learning, and I'm learning about myself, and I'm this, and I'm evolving. And it's like, she is in a fully formed, functional adult member of Starfleet. Like, I don't think we're going to get a whole bunch of character development. She's a developed adult human. Like, you know, it's just like, it doesn't always have to be about the character's journey and, you know, whatever. She's just like, And everything is so matter of fact that I loved it from the beginning, that she, like you said, she never had to prove herself. You know, she's, you know, she doesn't, you know, I don't see them ever really writing her like a crazy, you know, character development arc. Probably some really interesting storylines. But yeah, I think she's just a fully, you know, actualized, fully realized human. And I love that. And she's funny. So.
Yes. Definitely agree. She was a breath of fresh air of just sort of, she made it feel like anyone could be in Starfleet. Like, it seems like everyone else was in Starfleet. You had to be, not to say that she isn't smart, but she was the most down to earth smart person on the ship.
Yeah.
Like, she's that person you could grab a beer with and talk about the game or talk about something, and everyone else would be like, oh, I put together, like how Tilly did in the season finale, where she put something together with her eyes closed. She fixed a shield by being drunk. It was a drinking game. But Jet would be like, can we just relax and just drink a beer or drink a glass of wine and just relax, please? Like, I don't need to prove that I can do something drunk and blindfolded, even though I love Tilly. That was no shade to Tilly. It was just more to show. So great. Okay, so that was your first top moment memory person from this season. So for me, I'm gonna go into my worst thing first. Mine is the worst episode, and it's sort of a three-way tie between the episodes New Eden, Perpetual Infinity, or Sounds of Thunder. And if I absolutely positively have to pick the one that I dislike the most, it's probably Sound of Thunder, and it's the episode where Saru had to go back to his home planet. And the reason is because I do not like stupid decisions made by smart people, like obvious stupid decisions made by smart people. And I don't think I can, one of the dumbest decisions that they sort of made in that episode is like when they were on Saru's planet and they beamed down directly in front of the camera, basically. It was that, like, and they're sitting there talking, like, oh, that thing, it watches everything that we do. So why did you beam down in front of it? That's like my one sort of detraction from this show, is like when they have smart people make very dumb decisions. And I feel like in Sound of Thunder, there was a couple dumb decisions that they made that I felt like could have been avoided. You still could have beamed down, just, hey, how about you beam me down in the forest where there is no command stick that like shows everyone that I'm there, that starts this whole problem. And we learn later it all worked out for the good, but still, it's just, stop making dumb decisions. I'm sorry, it's a two-way tie between that and Perpetual Infinity, when her mother came back too. And Michael made such an emotional decision. And it was like, guys, please don't let the person who's the most emotionally invested make the scientific choice. Like, she's like, this isn't an emotional decision. And then directly to say, but it's my mother, so I have the right. Then this is an emotional decision. Like, guys, please. Logically, this is bigger than you. Let your mother have her way. Like, I get it. You missed her. I'm sorry. I know it hurts. It hurts so very much. But if your mother is saying this is bigger than you, don't keep her here if you know keeping her here kills everyone. Are you really going to keep your mother here and kill the entire universe? Or let your mother go? And then at the end of that, her mother's ship was ruined. And it was like, all of this was your fault, Michael. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. But all of this, everything bad that happened to your mother in this episode was your fault because you did not listen and you made an emotional decision and you kept her there because you missed her, but you didn't think about how your actions were going to affect everyone. And you kept saying it was for the good. We can keep you here and send the suit back to the future. But what happens if you fell here? Your mother's no longer in the future to come back and save you. And then you ruin the ship and you can never get to her again. Those 2 episodes, I just felt like it was smart people making dumb decisions over and over and over again. And I just can't forgive Starfleet for that because you're better than that, Starfleet.
They are better than that. But the writers.
I know. So yeah, those are that's my worst, my first moments. I think we have time for one more before we go on break. So Monica, tell us your second favorite moment or memory from this season, sorry.
So it's interesting that you don't like Perpetual Infinity because that's the episode that I really liked Dr. Burrow. So
I love the mom. My issue wasn't with the mom.
The episode as a whole, yes, has a lot of issues, plot holes, and Michael's decisions are not on point. But I am fascinated also with Dr. Burrow, and I wish that she could have her own spinoff. I would watch that one in a heartbeat. If there was like a Section 31 spinoff that started out with her and her research into astrophysics and this time crystal and how she came about doing all this and what it was like being a undercover agent, but then still being like a working mom and traveling. I think this is a fascinating story, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of Dr. Gabrielle Byrne. I wish there was just more than one episode that she was in.
Same.
Because also this whole, Michael's understanding of her parents' death impacted her so much. Like, she then was anxious about Klingons. She did not like Klingons, and she was like, had to put up a great big wall that was reoccurring throughout this storyline. But really, the Klingons in the end helped save the day with the time crystal, and her mother wasn't dead. So there's a lot there that it's just Michael didn't know it because it was undercover with Section 31. I love the suit, the Red Angel suit. I loved her hair because I totally connect with that, because with the cornrows and then the back being out, when she has the helmet on, her hair stays put. I understand. I wish you. So yeah, I really liked Dr. Byrne and the Red Angel, and that whole unveiling I was fascinated with.
One of the things I remembered were the things that made me feel not so good about this season, as much as I really did like it. And there are 2 weird things about the season that do definitely stand out to me. So number 1 was I think they're both the writers, okay? Number 1, Spock seeing the Red Angel as a child and having nightmares about it for years and having a psychotic break about it. And then number 2, Culber being brought back to life, like literally by essence or like energy that like lived inside of Stamets' brain, which both of things I'm just kind of like, there's just like some writer somewhere was like, well, we have to get Dr. Culber back. How are we gonna do that? And it's just, I don't know if they actually thought about that back when, Vogue/Tyler killed him in the first season. Like, I literally don't think that they thought that through and they just wanted to bring him back because they saw how popular Wilson Cruz is, because he's he's very popular. So I don't think they thought that through when they had him killed, how they're going to bring him back. Number one. Number two, again, I just thought it was so convenient. Spock just sees, Red Angel signals and he's a kid, and they surface as he's an adult. And, as much as I do like, what is it? As Memory Serves, that episode, as much as I do also like that episode, it's just, you see Spock throughout Star Trek, throughout the years, decades, really. And even as a half human, he's so steadfastly, entrenched in logic and Vulcan ideology. And it turns out, the reason that happened is because Burnham, as a child, called him a half-breed. And, it was just like, okay, sure. Sure, writers in the writer's room, like that's great. This is perfect. Awesome. Thank you. So they're just like, again, like thinking about the season, those things definitely annoyed me to the point that they are memorable, which is unfortunate, but they're definitely memorable, not necessarily in the best way. But yeah, I just thought that they were plot devices that were just so, I want to lose myself into these fiction stories. I don't want to sit there and think, someone wrote this. And sometimes it's hard if there is something that is such an obvious plot device that I'm like literally for maybe 2 or 3 minutes brought out of the show, and until they have like a scene change and I'm kind of brought back in. So those are the kind of two things in the season that I was just kind of like, this what we doing? This is what we doing? But okay, I'll let it happen now this time. So, but yeah, that was, memorable for me.
Okay, well, this is sort of a good segue into my next memorable moment, because I'm happy he was alive.
I am very much so.
Oh no, I'm. But yeah. I also agree. It's a very weird way how they brought him back. That whole episode was a very. I think when that episode came up, Monique and we were discussing. The episode was both brought me joy, but it had a moment that you just discussed where it sort of brought me out of the show, because that was the episode that Tilly was brought into the mycelial network. And literally at the end of the episode where she is in that cocoon, you see Jet and you see Paul looking into the cocoon for Tilly. And then that next episode, it's just Paul, even though it picks up directly after the end and Jet's not there. And it's like, wait, no. Continuity wise, and literally in a split second, where did she go? Like she was like, it wasn't that she was in the last episode and we didn't see her in the next one. She was legit there with Paul looking inside the cocoon, and then the next episode starts and Jet's no longer in that episode, which was a very huge continuity error for me. So that did like bring me out of the episode for a bit. So it's just like, really? I am very happy that he's alive. It is a very weird way that they brought him back. I can see how it's a long shot of bringing him back that way. But I will say I screamed when I saw him come across the screen. I was very, very happy to see him alive. And I'm not saying you weren't. I'm just saying I was very happy to see him back alive. I love Wilson Cruz, and I'm just very, and even though we are watching this episode by episode, and like we don't know what's happening in the next couple of seasons, I did know that he was still in the show, so I knew there was a way they were going to bring him back, and I assumed it was eventually a time travel thing where they would go back and grab him, right, version of him, like right before he died, or they saved him before he died.
Or I didn't know how they were alternate universe.
Yes, or an alternate universe, somehow maybe the mayor one. I don't know. It could have been so many different ways. It was very interesting about how they brought him back. But yeah, my second most memorable moment that I didn't announce what it was is the best shock, and that was the biggest shock was Hugh being alive. I was happy. I just wanted to hug him. Just like, I want to hug you. You deserve it, because you came back and I love you and I need you and I missed you. Paul, yeah, he did too, but I needed you. So that was my second top memorable moment.
And in that scene too, when he returned, his beard was all grown out and his hair was all grown out, and he was like in like the fetal position in the corner. And so Paul was helping to save him, which was great. But then you think, wait, does that mean that other people could be in that network? It's just a whole great big plot hole for me. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they had so many, like if they had said something like, you know, the mycelial network sensed that Culber was such a strong presence inside of Stamets' mind that they, you know, that somehow, you know, they retrieved his physical body or something, or his, you know, his whatever. But every part of the Dr. Culber that we see going forward is literally, they say, essentially, according to them and the writing, is essences of him that they extracted from Stamets' mind. It's his energy. And I'm just kind of like, so they extracted his entire, like all of medical school, like everything. like how does that work? So yeah, it was again, Wilson Cruz is everything. I just wish they had given Dr. Culber a better re-entry. So
make it make sense, people. Make it make sense.
Make it make sense.
So, Monica, moving on to you. What is your third top memorable moment or memory or person from this season?
Okay, so during season 1, I may have overreacted regarding Laurel Volk/Ash's test tube baby. So I may have and the fact that she ended up killing her child, supposedly, to stay in this leadership role as in the Klingon Empire. And so I felt as though Starfleet, specifically Terry and Georgiou, should not have put her in a corner, Laurel in the corner, to make a decision for motherhood versus work. I think that she should have been able to have that. I didn't like the writers to be able to I didn't like the writers forcing that.
Yeah.
I think she should have been able to have both. But during this season, the writers were able to make me whole in the fact that, because I was worried about this orphan child, albino Klingon, left on a strange planet with strange people and his outcome. So I was worried about that. I don't know why I was so captivated with that. But I end up finding out that the child ends up helping to save the day. And basically the son of none became someone. And so that I felt was important to me, so that no matter kind of what environment you grow up in, if you have a nurturing environment around you, you can grow up to be something. In this case, he helped Pike to understand that the time crystals are very valuable, and that it helped, I think, Ash and Laurel soothe their issues about whether they made the right decision, leaving their child on this strange planet to be raised by monks. So basically the sons of none help save the day. And I think his name is Tenevek. But it was nice to see that storyline wrap around full circle, and hopefully nothing else happens to him now that they possibly know that he's still alive. What about you, Carmen?
Klingon Monastery.
We're not flowing right together.
Yes, Tenavik, but yes, I would love to learn more about the Klingon Monastery. I would love to. That was awesome. Wow. We had Worf on 7 seasons of TNG and Worf on, I think, 3 or 4 seasons of DS9, and we never got the cool Klingon Monastery, what? Yeah, that was cool. I thought how they shot it was so cool. You know, I do talk about sometimes how some things can take me out of the show. And that was one of those things where it was like, I both was really into those moments where they, you know, had those scenes shooting, you know, at the monastery, but also in the back of my mind being like, this is gorgeous. Wow, they did such a good job. And yeah, I just want to know more. And I hope that Pike goes back there in Strange New Worlds. I don't know how it would work with Disco in later seasons, honestly. But yeah, as for now, like I would love to see Strange New Worlds go back to Boreth. Because that was really cool. That was really, really cool.
And it's an interesting scene also for Pike to see his fate. And that was a connection also to, I think, the original series. But that's a scary fate. That's a scary way to die there.
Whew. We're going to go into my last moment memory from this episode. Season. And to me, the best moment was when Hugh and Ash fought, because I will say from season one, I was very let down for the fact that Paul did not put hands on Ash in some way, shape, or form. I didn't want him to give him a verbal talk down. I wanted him to put hands. This man killed your man. He killed your husband. And he just gets a verbal talk down. Like, I didn't want that. Even in season 2, when Paul saw him, all he did was give him like a little bit of a talk or like a side eye. No, Paul, put your hands on this man. I never advocate for violence except in this instance, because
like not even a slap.
Yeah, not. Yes, I see what you're doing. And it was just like I was very let down that like Ash didn't really have any true repercussions to him killing Hugh. Regardless of the fact that it wasn't him in his right mind, it was Volk. I mean, like, who's to say it won't happen again? Like, he's still essentially getting away with murder. Like, it's not fair. Like, it was not fair to me that that Hugh didn't get any justice for his death. And so for him to be back, and to like the first chance that he got, he went on, like he threw hands on Ash. And I love that Saru was just like, let them fight. Because it was needed. I feel like it was some type of justification, because if Hugh had just let Ash get away with like killing him, I would have been like, I'm done. This is over. Because ain't no way in the world I'm coming back from the death. And I'm not going to sit there and confront the person who killed me, who I was trying to help, them figure out what was wrong with them, because they wanted me to find out what was wrong with them. And then you snapped my neck in front of my husband, who was unconscious. So yes, I love that it was public. I loved that even though I feel like Ash probably could have won, he just took it because he deserved it. And I love that Hugh was able to get some closure. Even though I didn't really feel like it, but he was able to confront his attacker, even though he could never really actually speak to Volk. He needed that, and I felt like if he never had that chance, he would not have been as well adjusted as he was in the rest of the season. That to me was like the best moment, because I was waiting for that. I was like, I need someone to make Ash pay for what he did, because as much as I love my girl Tilly, don't you dare sit at a table with him right after he killed a member of Starfleet. Don't you dare. Like, I get that you want to be friends with him. Dude, eat in your room. Read the room. Like
man, he got rid of that his whole dinner tray. He was like,
yes.
Let's get this out.
Like, Ash, you don't get to sort of like enjoy life right now on this ship with these people. Like, no. And he got no repercussions at the end of season 1. And so I really love that Hugh basically was like, I may not win this, but I'm going to defend myself. And that was my best moment.
Yeah, like you, I do not understand why he was allowed to still be part of Starfleet, even in section 31. It seems like he at least needed, I don't know, 2 years, 3 years for mental health reset. Like, so, like, I felt like Ash Tyler, at full experience of having his body taken over by the Klingons, needed a break. and to ask him to return to Section 31 and then to Discovery, that just causes more conflict. So that it just seemed like that was, for me, I didn't like that writing for him, for his character even to return. Right now, I didn't like that
I think it's just because the actor is really popular. I mean, I kind of enjoyed him. Shazad Latif, I think it was, maybe.
He's very pleasing on the eyes. He is pleasing.
He's very pleasing.
But
so
his character, I want to slap.
Right. So yeah, it was definitely a choice, Monica, to bring him back in the way that they did, knowing the pain that he had caused.
Right. So. And then also both of them sort of had out-of-body experiences. So yeah. So they had something in common there, but
and I didn't like that I didn't like that the only person who could really help you was Ash, and like the only person who could really understand what he was going through was Ash, because it's not fair that the person who killed him is the only person who could possibly understand what he's going through mentally. And it's like, nope, do not do that to the victim. That is not fair.
That's not a fun trope in fiction stories where the victim has to go to their abuser for help. And I
did not like that part. I still like when you put hands on him. I don't advocate for violence. I don't advocate for real violence. Fictional violence is something different. So we are coming towards the end of this episode. So Carmen, final thoughts. What have you thought about season 1 and 2 so far of Discovery?
I think so far I am just perplexed at people who just have so much to say about it. And not good things. Like it's literally like it leans so heavily into sci-fi, both of these seasons. We wanted more, Terran Empire, we got more Terran Empire. We wanted some time travel, we got some more time travel. We got more science, we got some more science. And so it's just like, what is the problem here? And the problem, we know what the problem is.
Yeah,
let's just be flat out. Like, we know what the problem is. But it's just crazy to me because I'm just like it's the things that we wanted. Like since the 80s, like we've got the cameras and the technology to do all the things. We're doing all the things. And you guys are still like, I don't like it. And I'm like, okay. But I'm loving it as a lifelong fan since 1990. I am loving it. Yes, there have been some plot holes, some missteps, some real like weird writing, but I've been loving it. And I like seeing myself on screen, to be honest. I like seeing somebody who honestly really she do look like me though.
Yeah.
Because I think I'm older. So she looks like me. But but it's just like, it's cool seeing like, people who look like me, in these sort of like, these leadership positions, and it's completely normal. It's not like someone's being like, oh, well, Michael Burnham, you know that she's the woman who, it's nothing like that. So it's really great. So far, I'm loving it. I'm really, really loving it. With all of its flaws. You know what I mean? Like, sure enough, there were so many continuity and character errors between TNG and DS9. And then I'm just like, you guys, like, like the Trill in TNG and the Trill in GS9, they've never explained it. So I'm just kind of like, you guys are weird. Like, there's so many things wrong with those earlier seasons that you put them on a pedestal. And Disco is doing just really, really crazy stuff. And it's so cool. So I'm very much enjoying it.
Okay, I'm glad. I like all your comments. Monica, for you, what is your final thoughts about these seasons?
Like Carmen, I'm loving it too. And I really love the female empowerment. I see it across the board and I'm not going to talk about Michael, but that's because that one's obvious. But there's Terry and Georgiou, who takes no question, just is who she is and just is not apologetic for it. So there's her, there's Dr. Burham, who's like been saving the day, helping Michael a million times or so behind the scenes. I feel like she's the hardest working person in Starfleet. But and then there's Tilly, there's Jet, there's so many really good, positive females that are not wearing the short skirts like in the original series and don't have their boobs out, like that are just like, I don't know, just like carrying their weight, just doing the best to save the whole galaxy, not just not just doing their job. So I love it. I also like the fact that each season, so both season 1 and season 2, leaves me optimistic. I don't feel like really doom and gloom like some of the other sci-fi series that are like that leave me in despair. I always feel uplifted at the end, and I look forward to it. Yeah. What about you?
So I like the seasons 1 and 2. I am very happy that we have strong female leads. I like the strong female leads have brains. They're not just there for show, but they're there to, and this is not just all like Star Trek, but it's like in general where we have a female lead who's not there as like the token extra lead. Like they have a part to play. They're an integral part of the team. When people listen to them, like when I think it's a Turing test, that like the women on this show could pass the Turing test because like they're not having a conversation about a man. I think that's the name of the test. Where like it's I like that these characters can do that. I will hope moving forward that they have stopped having Michael make dumb decisions. I don't like that I don't like that she's the one who's making all of the major mistakes every episode, or she's the one who always sort of changes her mind every episode, has one strong belief at the very beginning and then like flips on a dime but doesn't really explain it. I just don't want them to turn her into a Mary Sue completely. Like I know how every other Star Trek show has had a Mary Sue. I want them to write her to make smart decisions and not lie to everyone saying, I'm not making the most delicious decision when we all know you are. And I just want her to stop making obvious mistakes. That's the only thing I'm sort of hoping for in season 3 and 4. And I think they're moving on to 5. I want them to write her, not to say without any flaws, but not without as many flaws as I feel like they're trying to give her. Because no character cannot have flaws. Like every character has flaws. But not to where it's almost where her flaws can destroy the ship versus other people's flaws can like just ruin a friendship. But her flaws have these like gigantic ripples effect through time. And I don't really want that to be her thing. Because so far season 1 and 2 has all been about all of her decisions. And every one of her decisions sort of had a ripple and effect to everything else that's happened, which is great. But it's also she's still the one who gets blamed for the binary of the stars, which is the hill that I would die on, which was not her fault because the Klingons were going to fire no matter what. But it's like I just don't want that to be like on her back, on her shoulders, where like she has to every season is like fixing one of her mistakes when they weren't really her mistakes. So that's what I'm hoping for in the coming seasons. But I really do like everything that I've seen season 1 and season 2. And I like that these episodes aren't really a bore to watch, except for Harry Mudd's episode in season 1, because that was just hard. That was just so hard to watch. And I hated that they made her say, I've never been in love. Whatever, woman, you have. You just didn't know it. So that is my final thoughts for this episode. Is there anything else you guys would like to say before we sign off?
I just want to say thank you for having me discuss the recap with you. This has been awesome. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us. I should have said that. I'm so sorry. Thank you for joining us.
I got you, girl.
I know for me, you have been an amazing addition to this episode, Monica.
Thank you, Carmen. Love your insights. I'm with you all the way. We agree. And yeah. I'm looking forward to like continuing this discussion with everyone.
Okay. Well, as always, I'm Andrea.
And I'm Monica.
And we have Carmen with us here today. But as always, live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper.